brand name. The registered name is Behavior Modification Incorporated. Because at Slimmers World, we don't only go into the physical side of health, but also behavioral. And that's what I'm going to talk about now. Anyway, so behavior is basically how we act and react to stimulus. Say, for example, you saw someone or met someone that you really, really like, that you haven't not seen for a really long time. I mean, how do you react? That's emotions, right? You become happy, you're glad, right? And that's behavior. When someone gives you a gift, of course you're happy, that's behavior, right? If somebody hurts you, and you get mad at that person because that person hurt you, that's behavior, how you react. So, what I'm going to talk about tonight is another act, and it's called forgiveness. It's such a big, how do you say this? It's a big jump from physical wellness to suddenly forgiveness. Well, because we're here to talk about your behavior, about how we act and react, and because behavior actually is directly related to physical health. Okay, let me give you an example. So I'm going to talk about forgiveness, but what is the opposite of forgiveness? What do you feel when you see someone you really don't like? Someone who has hurt you really.
Hatred.
Hatred. Hate. What else? What else do you feel?
Anger.
Resentment. What else do you feel? Anger. I'm actually looking for that word, anger. Okay. So, opposite of forgiveness is anger. And here's what happens when you're angry. Okay, your heart rate goes up. Alright? Your blood pressure goes up. That's why you say your blood is boiling, right? That's why we say that. Your temperature, your body temperature goes up. So sometimes when you see somebody that you really don't like, that you really hate, you might actually get a heart attack. And we don't want that. And that's why we're doing this. Okay? And another thing is your irritability. You're more irritable when you're angry, right? And here's the thing. Anger and stress are directly proportional, and they're actually parallel to each other. The more angry you are, the more stressful you are, right? Am I correct? Right? So, those are just the physical manifestations of anger. And here's the thing. There is actual prescribed medication for those physical manifestations. Like for your blood pressure, you get, if your blood pressure goes up, you get blood pressure pills, right? That's what the doctor does. If your heart rate goes up, it's the same thing. The doctor gives you something for your heart rate, something to make you relax. Okay? Now, before we go on the emotional side, question. Why are you angry at a person? What makes you angry?
Something that they did.
Something that they did in the past, right?
Yeah.
Okay? What do you think, what did they do to you in the past that makes you angry?
Something that hurt my feelings.
Something that hurts your feelings, right? Emotional pain. So the things that I discussed earlier are blood pressure, heart rate, those are physical manifestations of anger, and they have prescribed medication for that. What is the medication for emotional pain?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. That's it. Okay. So for physical pain, like body pains, joint pains, muscle pains, they give you what? Painkillers, right? Painkillers. And what do they give you for emotional pain? Nobody gives you nothing for emotional pain. And that's what we have, forgiveness. Okay, now, prescribed medication, forgiveness actually has a how do you call it? How do you say this? Well, for prescribed medication, it takes time for the medication to actually be able to take care of your symptoms, right? For your pain. Same thing with forgiveness. It also takes time, to heal you, just like prescribed medication. It also takes time. I know forgiveness is a hard pill to swallow, especially if that person has really hurt you so much. Believe me, I know. I mean, I've been hurt, and of course, I've hurt people as well. Some of you like, so of course, I know. Okay, now, but here's the thing. Here's what happens when you forgive. Your brain produces oxytocin, which is your happy hormone. That's why you feel elated when you forgive someone, when you feel happy about someone. It lowers your blood pressure, of course. It lowers your heart rate. And it also decreases your susceptibility to anxiety and depression. Those are just some. And of course, here's the thing. Medical science has actually proven that forgiveness or forgiving actually improves your immune system. Right? Your immune system. And also your mental health. So your emotional, your physical, and your mental health are all connected with each other. Right? And that's why we're doing this. A whole holistic approach of health and fitness. Okay. Now, also, of course, when you become, because your emotional health has improved, your relationships also improve. Right? Am I right? You become more approachable, you become more loving of people, right? And of course, and when that happens, when you are more approachable and you're more loving of people, you're more open to people, your self-esteem goes up. Your level of confidence goes up, right? If I'm angry at people, I wouldn't be right here right now and be able to do this, right? Anyway, so forgiving does not mean forgetting. All right? It doesn't mean that you forgive, that you forget. All right? If you forget, that is not healthy forgiveness. That's not even forgiving at all. Okay? Okay, let me explain why. Because if you've been hurt, as was said before, you should learn from that situation. All right? If that person has hurt you before, then you should learn from that situation. For example, let me give you a more physical example of this. So, for example, you're cooking, right? And then accidentally you touch the pot or the pan. And, of course, it burns and it hurts, right? What do? Right? So it hurts. It's painful. So the next time you're cooking, you're wearing gloves. You become more careful. You become more careful, right? So yeah, you wear gloves, right? And it's the same thing with that person. If the person has hurt you, you become more careful the next time you're with that person, right? It just doesn't mean that you forgive, that you forget. Okay. Now, what about forgiving yourself? Has anyone here has done something wrong that you cannot forgive yourself? Anybody? Right? I believe that every one of us has done something wrong in the past. Sometimes we just don't remember or acknowledge, that situation. Okay. And here's the thing. If you have something that you have done before that you cannot forget or forgive yourself, You should learn from it. The first stage is learning from it. You acknowledge that you have done something wrong in the past, acknowledge, and you learn from it. Okay, if you learn from it, it means that you're not going to be doing that same mistake from before in the future, right? So that's being healthy as well, because you become a better person. And that's what health and fitness is, to become a better person, right? Why is everybody so quiet? Anyway,
We are very focused.
so the first thing,
Yeah,
right?
we're listening. Active listening.
Alright, perfect.
We're
Okay.
absorbing everything.
So, to be able to forgive ourselves, we should be able to acknowledge our mistakes, to be able to admit to ourselves our mistakes, and of course, if we have hurt somebody, we should ask for their forgiveness. Right, perfect. Okay. No. In any culture, in any religion, forgiveness is a great attribute. In the Jewish Torah, it is a divine attribute. It's the same in the Muslim Quran. My favorite is the story is forgiveness in the Christian Bible, wherein every time that Jesus would heal someone, he would say, "Your sins are forgiven," and that person is healed, and then he gets better, right? Now, here's the thing about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not just about when you forgive, you are not only letting that person go and healing that person from the mistakes that he has done to you from the past. Forgiveness is actually healing yourself from the hurts and pains that you had gone through because of that person. So when you forgive, you're not actually doing the other person a favor, but you're actually doing more of yourself a favor from letting go of yourself from the pain that this person has done to you. Now, what do I do when I'm angry? So here's the thing. So I'm not only a health and fitness professional, I'm also a fight coach before. I used to do MMA, I used to do kickboxing, UFC type. And when I'm angry, I hit the bag. I exercise. I move. Even if I'm not hitting anything, I would go to the gym, or even in my backyard, and I would do my punches, I would do my kicks, right? Yes, ma'am?
I only clean the house, or I only clean the house when I'm mad. I'm not mad often.
When you're mad, can you come at my place? Anyway, so yeah, when I'm angry, I move. Why? Because there's energy. That increase of heart rate, that increase in the heart, in blood pressure, increase in temperature, that's energy. And that energy has to go somewhere. Right? Remember, in physics, they say that energy is neither created or, I think I'm absent when they taught that in school, but energy has to be transferred or used, right? And when I'm angry, there's so much energy in me that what I do is I move. Right? I do my stretchings, all right? I do push-ups, I go out for a jog, I go on a bike ride,
What about crying?
Crying is actually, a release of that energy. And that is good. When you are hurt, crying isn't bad. I'm a guy. I get punched in the face, I cry. No, but when I get hurt, of course I cry. I can take physical pain, But you know, if I get hurt here, I cry. Right? It's a how do you say this? Crying is actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing. You know, if you are hurt, yeah, cry. But I also suggest that you know, do something like what she's doing. She cleans the house. I mean, I exercise. You know, because there's energy, and that energy has to go somewhere. Right? Anyway, yeah. All of this, like your emotions, your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health, they all go together. They all go, you know, in one holistic manner. If you are unhealthy in one of those, you can consider yourself as healthy or fit. All those has to go hand in hand. That's why we're doing this. Alright? So you have to be physically healthy, emotional healthy, mentally healthy, and spiritual healthy. And that's it for me. I hope that you enjoyed my talk. If you have any questions.
Well, I have a question that I was gonna, well, yeah, I do. Have you ever heard of the book Power versus Force?
Power versus.
Power versus Force, yeah, it's a really good book.
I think I've heard that book.
Yeah, they studied, they did muscle testing and studied the different states of consciousness from shame to enlightenment. And then they did politics, religion, and all these, but it's really fascinating. All the chapters on, it starts with shame and people are like, you know, suicidal and hopeless, or it goes to all the different levels of to 1,000, so it goes from the least resonating of energy. It's really cool.
Wow.
They calibrated it, yeah.
Wow.
Power versus
Who's the
Force.
author?
It's Dr. David Hawkins. Not Stephen Hawking, but David
Yeah,
Hawkins.
David Hawkins.
Yeah, this one, Hawkins.
All right.
Yeah, it's
I'm
really
gonna
good.
check that out.
This is how you might dig it.
I will. I'll definitely look it up.
Okay.
Question?
I was just going to say that our churches that we have in Akron, that we are really, really stressing every time it's love, accept, and forgive. It's spelled out different.
Yeah, yeah.
Love, accept, and forgive.
Yeah, it's you know, in any culture you go, any religion you go to, forgiveness is they say it's a divine attribute. But you know, even if it's not religion, you know, in any culture, I heard this. I heard somebody tell me this before, that in their culture, you know, forgiveness. They're not a religious culture. He lived on an island, which is, you know, not far from, you know, from civilization, but they grew up like in a more, how do you say, on a more remote way, you know. And they said, if somebody does harm unto you, of course, the first thing you do is to forgive. And that is their first rule in their community. It's not, and I think he said that because of that, their community had become a better community than what he had seen outside, you know. So yeah, in any culture that you go to, forgiveness, it actually is, you know, one of the most how do you say this? Important attributes that anyone can have. Pardon? Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that's really cool.
Ho'oponopono.
Yeah, I love Hawaiian doctor, I think she had it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think. Yeah, I think no.
Yeah, isn't it like practice when you say,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I forgive you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Please forgive me, I love you.
It's
And
a Hawaiian practice.
Hawaiian practice.
if you are angry or mad at someone, don't you feel that you have this weight on your chest?
Yeah.
And that's what she's exactly, what she's saying exactly. If you forgive someone, you're letting go of that weight. Very much, right? Alright, and that's it for me, and I hope you guys enjoyed my talk, and